but I'm curious, when you say we need to prepare the content that agents will consume, we need to package it properly. How exactly do you envision that could be done now? How do you do it currently? What are some of like the tactical bits that you employ both for documentation content and other forms of written content?
Okay, well, a very simple, straightforward approach, one that I take right now, and keep in mind that this applies to present day AIs. An AI 18 or 24 months from now might actually process things differently. So one of the things I tell everybody is keep an eye on AI technology and just at least learn how they process documents. But at the moment, a lot of documentation is being stored in RAG systems, Retrieval-Augmented Generation, where basically an AI is also given some documentation to augment what it already knows, and it's blended in with the input prompt. And combined with those two, AIs produce better results. It's like the closest human analogy to it is an open book test, where you are allowed to bring a book or some notes with you, and you answer questions on the test based on your knowledge plus what you have in your notes. The thing about RAG systems, Retrieval-Augmented Generation, is that those systems chop up their reference documents into smaller chunks. And those chunks are at least viewed independently from each other, which means that you have to write in such a way that small sections of your writing are independent from other sections, because the AI might not necessarily see those. So you have to rely less on things that we have used in documentation and books and papers for a long time. Things like see the previous chapter, or as I mentioned, when sometimes you say as I mentioned before, or even in the previous section, you can't do that anymore. You have to write your content so that individual chapters or sections are as independent as possible. And that's just simply because the matching algorithm for RAG systems tries to find the chunk or chunks that best match your questions. So it's best if you write that kind of documentation or material as independently as possible from other sections of the documentation. So that includes things like, for instance, a lot of documentation has a section called Introduction. You may want to beef up that title and go Introduction to using the name of whatever your system is or whatever you want to use. You're going to want to, for any section, you'll want to beef up the title so it just doesn't say Troubleshooting. It says Troubleshooting System X or Software Y. You want to be as specific as possible because this material is going to be viewed independently. And that is the nice thing, is that's something you can do right now. It does not require any technology. It just requires a little bit of work on your part, so that what you're writing is very specific. So these are basically SEO tricks that are being translated to what some people are calling AEO, or Agent Engine Optimization.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point. Is we just need to rethink the way we create content to provide as much context within a chunk of the content. So you write a title, just writing overview or introduction is no longer enough.
Yes.
Introduction, that's just a word. It's not even a phrase, right? You want to write whole sentences as much as possible, because an agent might just require that much context. And also, I would imagine for the token budget of whatever system is consuming your content, it'd be best if you provided the agent with as much context in that chunk, so they don't have to do multiple runs and multiple scans that eventually consume more tokens. So you want to be as token efficient as possible for others, right? For agents that consume your content.
That's right, because of course everybody has everybody's using an AI, and that particular AI, of course, has a context window, or the maximum number of tokens that can be used in the processing. And they may be deep into a conversation, and they may have used a lot of their token budget. And you want to provide as much useful information as possible without hitting your readership with a token tax. So the interesting challenge, of course, is that these longer, more context-heavy titles use up tokens. What you need to do is you need to start reducing certain kinds of writing, including what I call throat-clearing content, that introductory paragraph where you go, in this section, we will introduce, like, drop that. That's not useful information. That's all it... That was meant to prompt a human reader, but it's no good for a machine reader. Just get to the point.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, and now I'm curious, right? What are ground truths that still exist? Because it feels like a lot is changing, like you just said, how we write. But what are some ground truths that still remain even as this evolution is happening? And what's changed?
I think the ground truth that remains in the end is actually a trick from journalism, where they talk about the inverted pyramid writing system, where what you do is you write, save as much on introduction as possible, and you write the most important point near as close as possible to the beginning, and then go down into additional details with the least important or the least likely to be used detail at the very end. Put all the important stuff up front. Don't worry about introductions or setup. So this is the way that they traditionally teach journalists to write for newspapers, and it turns out that this is an excellent trick for writing for AI systems, but at the same time, we've had this for 100 years. It just also works for humans who want to get the information immediately. And this was written for a time, of course, when the context window was how much paper was inside how many pages you could put inside a newspaper. There was a limited budget that the paper in the newspaper was the context window. So, of course, you wanted to get the important stuff first, and you put the big story on the front page. Writing for AIs is now analogous to that you are now working with a context window. It's now a token budget instead of a limited amount of paper.